As the first rays of the sun touched the village of Kiwana, a golden light shimmered on the tops of the green trees. Birds began to chirp, and the air filled with the earthy scent of wet soil. At the same time, a little girl, Zuri, was sitting by the edge of the stream. A mischievous smile danced on her face, and she held a small wooden stick in her hand. She was drawing patterns in the water, lost in some unseen thought. "Zuri!" a voice called from behind. It was her best friend, Amani, who was always ready to join her on a new adventure. "What are you looking for today?" Amani asked with a laugh. Zuri looked toward the stream. "I don't know. I feel like something new is about to happen today." At that moment, a gust of wind blew, leaves scattered, and an old tree on the distant hill shook. Beneath the tree, something gleamed, as if a secret was hiding in the sunlight. Zuri's eyes sparkled. "Look, something's shining." Amani shrugged. "Is this another one of your tricks?" But Zuri laughed. "Come on, let's see. Maybe it's a secret of Kiwana." The two girls ran toward the hill, unaware that the glimmer was not just light. It was the beginning of a new story, one that would change the peaceful village of Kiwana forever. By the time Zuri and Amani reached the foot of the hill, they were panting. The sun was bright, yet a strange coolness lingered in the air. Ahead stood the old tree, thick-trunked, its roots curling into the ground like a sleeping giant. "This is the place," Zuri said between heavy breaths. Beneath the tree, the ground was slightly raised, and something glimmered there. Amani bent down and brushed the soil aside. A small stone emerged, engraved with a round mark, as if someone had joined the sun and the moon together. When Zuri touched the mark with her finger, the stone grew slightly warm. It feels alive," she said in amazement. Amani immediately pulled her hand back. "Zuri, don't touch it. Who knows what it is?" But Zuri's eyes were lit with curiosity. "My grandmother used to say that in Kiwana, the sun and moon once met on the same day. Maybe this is the mark of that story." Suddenly, the wind stopped. The rustling of the leaves ceased. For a moment, the entire hill was silent. Then, faintly from somewhere far away, the soft sound of drums began, as if a festival was about to start, though there was no festival in the village today. Zuri and Amani looked at each other. "We have to hide this stone," Amani whispered. Zuri nodded, but in her heart she thought, "Maybe this secret isn't meant to be hidden. Maybe it's meant to be understood." Somewhere in the distance, a shadow watched them from behind the tree, bowing its head, a mysterious presence hidden in the shade. Night had fallen. Stars twinkled in the sky over Kiwana village, but a question burned in Zuri's heart. Who was that shadow? Amani had fallen asleep, but Zuri couldn't. Quietly, she slipped out of bed, hiding the stone in her dust-stained pouch, and stepped outside. In the village streets, only fireflies glowed. Their gentle light seemed to follow Zuri with every step. She made her way toward the hill, the same place where she and Amani had found the glowing stone. Under the tree, silence reigned, but a faint rustle broke the stillness. Zuri froze. Who's there? From behind the leaves, a thin, elderly man emerged. His eyes were kind, though his face looked weary. I don't want to scare you, he said softly, but what you have found is not just a stone. Zuri asked in wonder, then what is it? The old man looked up at the sky. This mark is a symbol of Kiwana's balance. When it disappeared, the rain stopped, the river weakened. Now that you have touched it, Kiwana has awakened. Zuri's heart raced. So, what must I do? The old man smiled. You must understand this mark, child. Every mark tells a story, and you are now part of that story. With that, he turned and slowly vanished into the darkness. The stone in Zuri's hand glimmered once again, as if guiding her along the path ahead. The next morning, soft sunlight bathed Kiwana village. Zuri recounted the entire night's events to Amani. Amani gasped. An old man? And the mark of balance. Zuri, are you sure you weren't dreaming? Zuri took out the stone and showed her. If it were a dream, why would it glow? Light rippled across the stone, as if pulling in the sun's rays. Both girls jumped in surprise. The stone's glow slowly spread onto the ground, forming a line, a long trail pointing toward the old fountain at the far end of the village. Maybe this is our next clue, Zuri said. Amani took a deep breath. All right, but if we get in trouble, you'll handle it. The two girls followed the glowing trail. Villagers were busy with their morning chores, paying them no attention. After a while, they reached the fountain, the very fountain that had been dry for years. But today, a faint dampness and cool breeze seemed to emanate from it. Zuri knelt down, placing her hands on the fountain stones. Suddenly, one stone shifted, as if it were breathing from within. A thin stream of water trickled out, landing right at the center of the mark they had seen the day before. Amani said in wonder, Zuri, it feels like the stone is trying to tell us something. Zuri smiled. Yes, but we have to understand its language. At that moment, on the other side of the fountain, the same old man appeared again, but this time he was not alone. A young boy stood beside him, his eyes hiding a secret of their own. Zuri and Amani hid behind the stones as the old man and the young boy slowly approached the fountain. The old man spoke softly. This place is awakening. I hoped someone would recognize it. The boy remained silent, but his eyes were sharp, as if searching for secrets in everything around him. Zuri whispered into Amani's ear. Who could he be? I don't know, but he feels dangerous, Amani murmured. Suddenly, the old man said, Come out, Zuri. There's no need to hide. Zuri froze. Hesitantly, the girls stepped forward. How do you know my name? Zuri asked in surprise. The old man smiled. Every child in Kiwana has their name written in the stones. He then looked at the boy. This is Kwana, the last of my apprentices. He will help you. Kiwana spoke softly. I will help only when I'm sure you are worthy of the mark. Zuri squinted. And how will you decide that? Kiwana pulled a small, empty shell from his pocket, like a tiny snail shell. When the fountain's water fills it on its own, I will know the mark belongs to you. Zuri placed the shell in front of the fountain. Everyone held their breath. A few moments passed. Then a single drop of water fell into the shell by itself. Surprise flickered in Kiwana's eyes. The old man looked up at the sky. Then the time has come. Kiwana's secret is no longer just a story. Evening had fallen over the fountain. The sky had turned shades of orange and blue, and the air carried the scent of damp earth. Zuri, Amani, and Kiwana sat between the stones, while the old man watched them from a distance, as if overseeing an ancient prayer. Kiwana said, "This fountain is not just water, it is a gateway. But to open it, the mark of balance must be complete." Zuri asked in amazement, "Complete? But we only have one stone." Kiwana drew a circle in the soil. "The mark has 4 parts. One you hold, the others are hidden along the paths of air, earth, and light." Amani furrowed her brow. "And where are those?" The old man said softly, "One will come to you on its own. Just keep your heart pure and fear at bay." Zuri held the stone in her hand. As she lifted it above the fountain's water, the ground trembled slightly. Ripples formed in the water, and suddenly a circle opened at its center, a passage descending into the earth. It goes down," Amani said nervously. Kiwana replied, "Yes, but it is dark below. Whoever goes must rely only on the light of their own faith to guide them." Zuri took a deep breath. "If Kiwana's secret is connected to me, then I must go." She stepped forward. The water slowly swallowed her into its depths, and in the next moment, she vanished into darkness. Under the water, Zuri felt as if time itself had stopped. When she opened her eyes, she found herself inside a glowing cave. The walls shimmered with a soft blue light, and strange symbols carved into the stone seemed to move gently, as if they were breathing. "Where am I?" Zuri whispered. A soft voice echoed around her. "You are where stories sleep, Zuri." Startled, she looked around. No one was there. But the voice came again, calm and kind. "Do not be afraid. You have taken the first step. Now, listen to us." Suddenly, the symbols on the walls began to shine brighter, and one of the stones broke free, falling to the ground in front of her. When Zuri reached out to touch it, a faint whisper came from within. "The balance is broken. The earth is thirsty. You must find the light." Zuri's heart pounded. "Where is the light? How will I find it?" In answer, a golden wave of light flowed from deep within the cave, painting an image on the wall. An ancient tree, a small village beneath it, and above, the sun and moon hanging close together among the clouds. This is the second part of the mark," Zuri murmured. Then the voice faded softly. "Remember, the light reveals itself only to the brave of heart." The air in the cave began to thin. Drops of water floated in the air around her, dancing gently. Then suddenly, the ground trembled, and from far above, someone called her name. "Zuri, come back." It was Amani's voice. The circle of light swirled around her, wrapping her in its glow, and in a flash, Zuri was thrown back to the edge of the fountain once more. When Zuri regained consciousness, she found herself between Amani and Kiwana. "Zuri, are you okay?" Amani asked quickly. Catching her breath, Zuri said, "I'm fine, but I saw light and a tree, a very old tree." Kiwana's eyes widened. "An old tree? That's in the north of the village, where no one goes. The land there is silent, and they say the shadows move on their own." Zuri spoke firmly. "Maybe that's where we'll find the next part of the mark." The three of them set out the next morning. The sun was harsh, yet the air carried an eerie stillness. The shadows of the trees stretched long, almost walking beside them. After some distance, they came upon a broken stone wall. In the middle was an archway, shaped like a doorway, but made entirely of light. Kiwana looked in awe. "This is the door of light, but to pass through, your heart must be light as well." Amani frowned nervously. "What do you mean?" "It means," Kiwana said softly, "that anyone hiding the truth will not be able to enter." Zuri closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Then, slowly, she stepped forward. The light wrapped around her, scattering colors through the air, and in the next moment, she was gone. Amani turned to Kiwana in alarm. "Where did she go?" Kiwana replied quietly, "To where truth lives, inside the light." When Zuri opened her eyes, there was no ground and no sky before her, only light. Golden, blue, and green, colors floating gently in the air, breathing softly like living things. She looked down at her feet. There too was light, cool and soft beneath her. Then, from somewhere around her, a familiar voice echoed, "Zuri!" Zuri turned around and saw a faint figure, the shape of a woman, her hair adorned with tiny colorful beads, her face calm and serene. "Mother?" Zuri's voice trembled. The figure smiled. "I am not your mother, child. I am the memory of Kiwana, the spirit of the land that has watched you since the moment you took your first step." Zuri's voice quivered. "You know what the mark wants, don't you?" The shadow spoke gently. "The mark is not choosing you. You are discovering yourself. Kiwana's balance will return only when you accept the light within your own heart." Tears welled up in Zuri's eyes. "But I'm just a child. How can I bring back balance?" The figure of light placed a hand on her shoulder. "Children are never just children, Zuri. They are the hope of the earth. Go, carry the faith in your heart and return." The light began to fade slowly. Zuri looked one last time at the glowing figure, then closed her eyes as a soft breeze swirled around her. When she opened them again, she was back, standing before Amani and Kiwana. But this time, the mark in her hand was shining with a new, radiant light. Zuri, Amani, and Kiwana stood by the edge of the fountain. The light of the mark in Zuri's hand still shimmered softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. "We have to take the next step," Zuri said quietly. Kiwana nodded. but doubt flickered in his eyes. "Zuri, are you truly ready? This light, this power, it can change you." Zuri replied, not with anger, but with calm determination. "It's not meant to change me, Kwana. It's meant to save Kiwana." Amani looked between them, then took Zuri's hand. "We're with you, Zuri. You're not alone." Kiwana sighed. "All right, but we must be careful." The next part of the mark is hidden in the oldest forest of the village, and the shadows there are strong. The three of them began their journey toward the forest. The trees grew taller and darker as they entered. The air whispered with strange murmurs, as if unseen eyes were watching them from the depths. Zuri held the glowing mark tightly and whispered, "We can only move forward with the light of our hearts." Deep in the forest, flashes of light shimmered before her eyes, and one ancient tree stood taller than all the others. Kiwana whispered, "That's it, the next mark. But be careful, this path is filled with trials." Zuri felt the courage rising inside her. "I'm ready for Kiwana." And with that, she stepped forward into the circle of light to face her first true test. Inside the forest, the light had grown dim, and Zuri's footsteps barely made a sound as they touched the soft earth. Amani gripped her hand tightly. "Zuri, everything here feels strange. The rustling leaves, those whispers. It's like the forest itself is alive." Kiwana nodded slowly. "This is the trial of the forest. Every step will test the strength of your heart's light. If fear takes over, the path will disappear." Zuri took a deep breath and moved forward. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared before her, shaped like a person, but hazy and shifting. "Who are you?" Zuri asked quietly. The shadow spoke, its voice echoing like wine through hollow trees. "I am your greatest doubt, the form of your deepest fear. Only if you face me will you see the next mark." Zuri raised the glowing mark in her hand and whispered, "I do not walk with fear, I walk to protect Kiwana." The light surged forward, touching the shadow, and in an instant it dissolved into mist. Amani exhaled in relief. "Zuri, you really did it." Kiwana smiled proudly. "That's your true strength. The next mark is ahead, the ancient tree. Kiwana's secret lies within it." Zuri felt her heartbeat quicken as she stepped forward with renewed courage. Beneath the massive tree, a circle of golden light shimmered softly, and in its center, a small mark gleamed like a star. Zuri took her first step into the circle, and suddenly, a surge of radiant light exploded around them. Amani and Kiwana stepped back, their hearts pounding, as the forest blazed with brilliance. Zuri stepped into the circle of golden light, and suddenly, everything around her began to glow. The echo of the light spread through the land. The old trees, the river, and even the distant hills seemed to awaken and breathe again. Kiwana whispered, "This is it, the moment to see what Kiwana's true secret is." In the center of the circle, a small stone began to shimmer. Ancient symbols appeared across its surface, the sun and moon side by side, the marks of earth and wind, and in the middle of them all, a small heart. Zuri stared in awe. What does it mean? An old man standing nearby smiled gently. Kiwana's secret is love and unity. This land lives only when people care for one another, when there is light in their hearts. You showed that light, Zuri, and it awakened everything. Zuri held her heart's light in her hands and placed it over the glowing stone. At first, there was only a faint shimmer. Then suddenly, the light spread across the forest, the river, and the whole village. Birds began to sing again, the air filled with warmth and fragrance, and every corner of Kiwana seemed reborn. Amani laughed with joy. We saved Kiwana. Kiwana nodded, looking proudly at Zuri. It was your courage and the light of your heart that made it possible. Remember, Kiwana's secret will always live within you. Zuri smiled softly. It's our secret, and we'll never forget it. As the sun began to set, the village of Kiwana glowed brighter than ever. And so, Zuri, Amani, and Kiwana didn't just uncover Kiwana's secret. They discovered that the greatest power of all is the light within the heart.